Hey y'all, how's it going? Hope everyone's doing super awesome today. Welcome to Zahatka. My name is Valentina, and today I'm going to have a tutorial for you for this super fun little adorable puffer tote bag. Super cute. I had a really fun time making it. You could fit a laptop into it or whatever you want to fit into it. And yeah, I think you'll have a fun time making it too. So if you want to see the tutorial for this little tote, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and let's get to sewing. I'll be using this 4x4 square, which gives 4.5 by 4.5 square with the edges, but I'll be using that square and using these fabrics for my tote bag, as you saw. And the first thing I'll be doing is just cutting out 24 little squares of the fabrics and 24 little squares of the backing for the fabric. And just a side note, at this time I had 8 of each color, so I used 3 different patterns and turned out to be 8 squares of each. Then I just laid everything out to see how I would want the pattern to go, and this was the end result of how I want the pattern to be on the front and back. And then I sewed 3 sides of each square, leaving one side open. After I finished sewing 3 sides of each square, I sewed the 4 squares that I wanted to go across together. So I sewed the first 2, and then I add on the next one, and then the next one. I did that for each of the 3 rows, and this is how it should be right now. And then I stuffed all the little squares. That's why you wanted to leave the top open on one side. And so it's easier if you sew the lines and then stuff them instead of sewing them stuffed all around. And then I proceeded to sew the tops. So on that first line, you just sew the square shut, just a line all the way across. And then on the following one, I just put pretty side to pretty side, the open ones to the closed ones, the ones that I already sewed together, and then I sewed those 2 together, and I did the same for the 3rd row, just making sure that you're laying them down in the right pattern way. Now I have these 2 rectangles, that's where we're at, and I decided that's going to be too small. So I'm going to add more squares to the side and make it like a actual true rectangle tote instead of a flat tote. So I cut out 10 more squares of each and sewed them all, and then stuffed them all, and then sewed it all together in a line, and it's going to go on the sides and on the bottom of the tote. So now I have the line of the 10 stuffed squares and the 2 rectangles. I measured them out to see what size lining I would need, and my 10 squares end up being 35 inches long and 4 inches wide, and my rectangles are 15 inches by 12 inches. So I cut out the lining according to that, and then I clip it all together and I sew it all together to make basically the lining of the tote. So this is how your lining should end up looking, just like a rectangle tote. And then I get my puffy pieces together. This part will be a little harder because everything's puffy now. I just kind of try to move the puff around so it's flatter where I'm sewing. But I sew that 10-piece line onto one of the rectangle sides right now, just lining it up and making sure to go slowly. I know this video is sped up, but I did make sure to go slowly and align everything up and make sure that my pattern was going the way I wanted it to. And even with that, I messed up my pattern a little bit, but it still turned out to look so cute. But yeah, just line up those squares and go slowly. And then once you're done sewing on that one rectangle, you attach the other rectangle. And now it's even harder because everything's even more fluffy, but just go slow and you got this. And this is the result you should have after sewing those together. Just like your liner, you have that rectangle. Now it's time to make the handles, and for the handles I cut a 15-inch by a 6-inch line, and I folded it in half and then folded those halves in half, and I did insert some cotton batting into that to make it thicker, and then I folded that cotton batting in another half and sewed 2 top stitches along the edges. Now it's time to attach the liner to the bag, and I put it on pretty side to pretty side, so you're looking at the outside of the basically the wrong side. And I made sure first the corners are by the corners and clipped that on, and then I clipped on the handles where I wanted the handles to be, and then I just sewed it all around, not leaving any gaps. After sewing that all around, I got my seam ripper and I ripped a little hole at the bottom of the liner. I didn't want this to be at the top. I just opened some stitches at the bottom to turn the bag right side out. And then I just sewed that little hole back up. And this is your end result. Super cute. And I'm not doing a top stitch around the top because I think it'll ruin the look of the puffiness of the bag. And before this video is over, I did just want to say a big thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I do hope it was super useful for you and you're going to try this fun puffer tote and you're going to be able to make your own. And if you did like it, please let me know down below. Also, please consider liking, subscribing, sharing, and all that good stuff that helps me out. And I really hope to see you again next time. Bye bye.